राज्यसभा टीवी के इस खास प्रोग्राम गुफ्तगू में आज हमारे साथ मेहमान हैं इब्राहिम अलकाजी, जो कि हिंदुस्तानी कॉन्टेम्प्रेरी थिएटर का पर्याय माने जाते हैं। इब्राहिम अलकाजी, वो नाम जिसके बिना 20वीं सदी के हिंदुस्तानी थिएटर का जिक्र पूरा नहीं होता। इब्राहिम अलकाजी 1962 से 1977 तक दिल्ली में राष्ट्रीय नाट्य विद्यालय के निदेशक रहे। कला की विभिन्न विधाओं के संरक्षक और कला प्रेमी इब्राहिम अलकाजी ने अपने सक्रिय नाट्यकर्म के दिनों में कई यादगार नाटक किए। 50 से भी ज्यादा ये नाटक आज भी मील के पत्थर माने जाते हैं। नाटक और फिल्मों में उनके तराशे हुए कई अभिनेता और निर्देशक आज शोहरत की बुलंदियों पर हैं। बहुत बहुत स्वागत है इब्राहिम अलकाजी साहब आपका प्रोग्राम में। सबसे पहले हमको ये बताइए कि थिएटर में ये जो आपका सफ़र शुरू हुआ वो कब और किन वजूहात से शुरू हुआ होगा?
मेरे वालिद साहब अरबस्तान के थे, मेरी वालदा भी, और वो दोनों जन साथ में दिल्ली आ गए, माफ़ करना, बम्बई आ गए, और बम्बई के बाद वो पूना पहुंच गए। और मेरी एजुकेशन जो थी वो इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज में थी, सिर्फ इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज में। तो उसका मतलब ये होता था कि घर में भी मेरे एक किस्म की ट्रेनिंग होती थी अरबी लैंग्वेज में और कुरान शरीफ में। और जब हम स्कूल जाते थे वो सिर्फ अंग्रेज़ी में ही गुफ्तगू मुझे मौका मिलता था। उन दिनों में जंग भी, वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 था उस वक्त, तो काफ़ी शिद्दत थी डिसिप्लिन में। और लेकिन उसके बावजूद ये बहुत अच्छे लोग थे, कम्प्लीटली डिवोटेड टू देयर वर्क, very compassionate, very understanding, and we were able to communicate effectively. And for them, theatre was very, very, very important. And they gave me opportunities to perform in the theatre. And so St. Vincent's High School, in which I was a student, had a very fine reputation for its theatre background. My father felt it was very important for me to have a classical education in Arabic because I'm an Arab, and Arabic is the mother tongue. And the Quran Sharif is also Arabic. So on the one hand, while I had a St. Vincent's High School for training in English, and then later on also in French, because also in English you had to have a second language when you were in that kind of institution. At home, all my training was in Arabic, completely in Arabic. So to a certain extent, while there were certain limitations to this, it opened up a whole world to me. It opened up half of mankind to me.
आप लोग कितने भाई बहन?
Well, we were a family of 9 eventually. And my father was very conscious of this because every year he had asked my mother to be put down because every year she produced a child. So over a period of time we were 9 children. And so that was also wonderful. But in the family, in the compound that we had, it was a very, very large compound. There were Parsis who were living over there. There were Anglo-Indians who were living over there, whose medium was, of course, English, etc., and broken Hindi, Hindustani, etc. And there were Maharashtrians also living over there.
ये आप पूना की बात कर रहे हैं?
जी हाँ, पूना की बात।
जी, पूना में जब आपकी पढ़ाई पूरी हुई,
जी हाँ,
वहाँ से लेकर मैं समझता हूँ कि NSD आने तक के बीच में क्या वजह रही होंगी?
On one occasion, when I was half asleep, around 11 o'clock or so, the doorbell rang. And I went to the staircase to see that who had rung the doorbell. And I watched outside. And here was a very unkempt, dirty-looking British soldier with his knapsack, with everything, etc. And I said, yes. He said, I'm so-and-so. He gave a British name, etc. I said, yes. He said, I've come from the front. I said, what do you mean from the front? I've come from the Burmese front. I was with your brother at the Burmese front. And your brother gave me your address, and therefore I've come to you. And may I spend the weekend with you? So like this gives you contacts with people from all over the world. The German fathers were very, very good. They were very thorough in the teaching of languages. So it was a German who was teaching us English. It was a Frenchman who was teaching us English. From this, that our knowledge of language also, of languages also spread out.
तो फिर इसमें नाटकों में आपका कैसे आना हुआ?
Every Jesuit school always had a drama department, always had a drama department. They prided themselves in that. And therefore Father Ricklin, who was the head of St. Vincent's High School where I was a student, he would himself conduct all the rehearsals, etc. there. He would provide the music also because there's a school orchestra and there are students from the school who provided the orchestra. And therefore that was a very rich kind of a cultivation of taste in so many different modes of communication.
तो आपने कौन सा प्ले सबसे पहली बार किया?
They were first one-act plays because you were a young student and you did not have the energy, etc., and the capacity to do a 3-act play or a 4-act play and the rest of it. And then later on, of course, the Jesuits saw to it that as we went along, the standard improved. It became better and better and better and better, so that over a period of time you could quite easily do Shakespeare also in the language in which you were taught.
फिर आप ड्रामा स्कूल कैसे पहुंचे यहाँ नेशनल स्कूल ऑफ ड्रामा में?
In Bombay, I did a large number of plays in the English language through Parsi organizations, because the Parsis were very fond of the theatre and they would put on plays. Quite frequently they were influenced by Hollywood and they were influenced by cheaper comedies and the rest of it. I was interested in the classics. And then over a period of time I began to realize what were the weaknesses in the kind of work that we were doing. It was important for me to find my roots in the classics of any culture that I was investigating. And my father had provided a complete library for it. So on the one hand we had a library of Arabic books and so on, which we were taught with the Arabic teacher. And then on the other hand there was a complete room full of books. And you will see this continued over here. I'd welcome you to go to any one of these cupboards, etc., that you find over here, and you find everywhere there's nothing but books and books and books and books. When Father Ricklin found that my interest in the theatre was so great, he said, "Alqazi, you must go to England now." So after finishing my school course, etc., I took the boat and I went to England, and I was received there with open arms. It was absolutely fantastic.
फिर राडा से होते हुए आप दिल्ली पहुंचे?
दिल्ली आ गया, जी हाँ, और वहाँ मैंने काफ़ी काम शुरू किया. And then there were very few theatres, actual theatres showing works on the stage, and therefore I felt that I needed to have a theatre of my own. And I was helped a great deal. The Prime Minister, they heard about the reputation that I had also been to England, that in England I was supported a great deal. Now in England I was not only supported that way, and they wanted me to come to Delhi, and they had run out of people, and they didn't find the people who were working with them in the theatre good enough, etc. And they invited me and they gave me carte blanche, unrolled a carpet in front of me, and they requested me to take charge of the theatre. Therefore that opened up, because that opened up their entire library to me. And as I mentioned to you, their library was very good.
तो जब आप दिल्ली पहुंचे,
जी हाँ,
तो थिएटर का क्या सीन था?
There were 2 or 3 theatres which were set up as theatres in Delhi. But those people had no idea of the theatre. They were just put up for comedies, for light plays, and so on. They had no sense of the dramatic elements of theatre and how to utilize them on the stage, how to utilize them in terms of the space, in terms of lighting, and so on and so forth.
गुफ्तगू में अब वक्त है एक छोटे से ब्रेक का. ब्रेक के बाद हम और आप होंगे इब्राहिम अलकाजी की ज़िंदगी के और पन्नों के साथ. राज्यसभा टीवी के इस खास प्रोग्राम गुफ्तगू में हम हैं आज इब्राहिम अलकाजी के साथ, और उनसे जानने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि उन्होंने दिल्ली में आने के बाद जो थिएटर किया उसमें मॉन्यूमेंट्स का जो इस्तेमाल किया, उसकी वजह क्या थी और उसने कैसे थिएटर को एक अलग डायमेंशन दिया. जी अलकाजी साहब.
I was also lucky in this, that at that time Pandit Ji was the Chief Minister. What was his name? What is it called? The highest position. Was the Prime Minister. He was the Prime Minister. And he came to one of the plays over there. He was flabbergasted. He was absolutely astounded. Absolutely astounded. And he encouraged me in every way. In every way he provided opportunities for me after this thing was done. So I had half a dozen such structures. Apart from such structures, in my backyard, I had in the open ground over there, I had a whole tree. Under the tree, I built platforms. On the platforms were the actors, etc. So you could create theatre, and above that is the sky. You see, and then afterwards, when you're doing these plays, and Panditji comes to see your plays, etc., and other people of that kind of quality come and see the plays, and everybody says, "Ah, ha, 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 there must be something in that. Let us go and see those plays." And therefore, you play to full houses, and this is how you do it.
और कौन-कौन से actors थे उस ज़माने में जो
All the
आपके साथ?
best actors that you have mentioned just now, amongst the actors there.
Better you mention them.
Well, let me try and remember them.
Yeah.
Remember them by name. I can give you their names. Yes.
Manohar Singh.
Manohar Singh, yes, was one of the biggest actors, one of the finest actors was Manohar Singh. Absolutely. And therefore, the good actors also set an example to the others.
Nasiruddin Shah.
Nasiruddin, of course, Nasiruddin Shah was.
Om Puri.
Many of these people, yes, Om Puri was there, yes, all these names that you are mentioning, they were the top actors there. And then when they went to Bombay and into the film industry, they were given big roles, fine roles, they made reputations for themselves there.
लेकिन आपने तो उनको नाटक सिखाया और वो फिल्में करने लग गए?
जी हाँ, so it's not very difficult to go from the natak to the film. It is more difficult to go from the film to the natak.
फिर नाटक कौन करेगा अगर सब लोग नाटक सीख कर फिल्मों में चले जाएं?
That was also a thing that they used to do. It was not that they gave up the stage, etc., completely, and they only did that. Not at all. They developed. Then when we were doing a Japanese play, for example, which was translated into Hindi, Hindustani, we got a person from Japan who was doing their operas and so on, and he was absolutely flabbergasted by the quality of our students, and he did a Japanese play in Delhi in my theatre in a magnificent kind of way. Then we had French play dealing with the French Revolution, and there too. And when things like that started to happen, as they're happening even now, all the people representing foreign governments, the top people over there, would come and see the plays, and then they would insist, they would request, they would beg that these productions be taken to England, be taken to France, be taken to Italy. See, we got a truly international reputation. Then I had to provide a hostel for these children. You call them children, they were grown-up men, etc. They could look after themselves and so on. It never occurred to a person who is putting up the National School of Drama in Delhi that you don't just put an old sort of building, etc., up over there and leave it to the dogs, etc. It was ridiculous. They had no idea as to how to construct a dramatic setting which would be perfectly all right for an Indian classical play, perfectly all right for a Western modern play, all right for dance, all right for Indian performances and so on of dance and music and the rest of it. So it served all these purposes. But then they have to have a place to live, and the place should not be very far away. So if it is within 10 minutes walking distance from your theatre, fine, it's wonderful. So like this, then you began to train the minds of the actors also in providing a discipline for themselves. So they began to conduct their own rehearsals, knew how to conduct their own rehearsals. So tremendous. And it provided for them a new livelihood when they went to Bombay. It was also always the students of the National School of Drama who were given first standing, the students of the National School of Drama, because they had been trained. That is despite me, it's not because of me, it is despite me.
जब आप अपनी ज़िंदगी की किताब के सफ़े पलटते हैं तो वो कौन से सफ़े हैं जहां आप जाकर रुक जाते हैं और कहते हैं यही सबसे चमकदार दिन थे?
National School of Drama. Why? Because over a period of time, because I had also to train them to be regular, to be on time, to be very strict with their own training that they had, etc. Rehearsals were extremely important. That they had to arrange the stage themselves even before they acted in front of that setting and the rest of it. But they had a fantastic atmosphere. Now, for example, when we were doing a play which was based on the French Revolution. And you had this big structure so that the knife came down to take off the head of the person who was there, already there. We had almost a tragedy. The whole thing, the entire thing collapsed, and you can imagine a big razor like that coming down, and everybody was in a way outside, glad, there's Alqazi's theatre, gone to hell, gone to hell, gone to hell, gone to hell. We took these people and we rushed with them to hospital. And there were about a dozen of these people, and it was already in the middle of the night. We had finished by 9 o'clock. The performance had been over by 9 o'clock. By about 10 o'clock, we had got them to the hospitals, etc. And I got my son-in-law, who was a doctor himself, to come to the hospital and to find out how much damage has been done, who are the people who would be very seriously hurt, etc., etc. He said it's more shock than anything else. It was a sigh of relief that I heaved. So it is that, these things, and these are the situations also that bring people together, that make them work together as brothers, as members of the same family, and that open the whole thing to you. And when we did plays based on the French Revolution, the French ambassador came to see it, he was absolutely flabbergasted. This kind of thing, where the West has been flabbergasted by what we have done, been so great that almost every exhibition, serious exhibition that we put on photography in India is taken by them at their expense to England, to France, to Italy, to wherever it may be, returned to us, etc., etc., in impeccable condition, the rest of it, because the reputation had gone spread all over. And therefore now we have two setups. I felt it was very important for me to have a center, and therefore I set up a center. I bought an entire building. It was not a very large building, but it was an attractive building. And I cleaned it up, I dressed it up and so on, and I made the whole of the collection there. Now, for example, take a very simple thing like this. All right, we are doing the history of photography in India, and we're going around looking for old photographs. Okay, what the hell, we're looking around for old photographs. But what are the cameras that they used? And when you go to Bombay, you'll find almost an entire lane which is completely full of old cameras. And therefore, if you want to evoke and create the history of the past, then you've got to know all the other elements that went into the creating of that. And therefore I said, so today what do we have? We have one of the most important collections of cameras, of old cameras. Homai Vyarawala is a Parsi lady.
I know.
And she documented a great deal of important historical moments in the interrelationship between India and the British during our own struggle for independence. And there were dozens and dozens and dozens of very strong, powerful photographs. And I found that it was an epic summary of what the struggle for independence meant in India. And when the British saw this exhibition that we had put up, they were so stunned that they insisted that we take it all over India. And we took it all over India. And along with that, whenever you have a collection of photographs that you, because if you go to Bombay, there are about 2, 3 or 4 narrow streets which have these old kind of things, old gramophone records and gramophone players, etc., and gramophones themselves, etc., old cameras and the rest of it. So if you spend a sufficient amount of time and you know the technological aspect of it, then you make a full sort of creation of that. Now, over a period of time, first the Westerners used to laugh at us, thinking that we did not know how to put up exhibitions, the rest of it.
अभी आप ये जो प्लेस होते हैं दिल्ली में वो आप देखते हैं?
जी हाँ, नहीं।
कब से?
मुझे फुर्सत नहीं मिलती।
कब से आपने प्लेस नहीं देखे होंगे?
नहीं, I can't say, about 2 or 3 years, that's all.
लास्ट प्ले जो आपने देखा होगा जो बहुत अच्छा लगा वो कौन सा था?
मैं मुझे नहीं बता सकता हूँ। What were the plays? I don't quite remember.
जो अभी कॉन्टेम्परेरी थिएटर है उससे आपको क्या उम्मीदें हैं? कुछ अच्छा काम हो रहा है?
नहीं, हो रहा होगा, ज़रूर होगा, क्योंकि there is much better talent, there is trained talent, there are people who know what direction is, there are people who know how to design costumes, how to cut costumes, how to tailor costumes, how to dress different characters in different colors and different materials, etc., etc. So all that basic knowledge has been like an encyclopedia. They understand it, they know it.
आपके साथ 2 प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स का बड़ा क्लोज कनेक्ट रहा, पंडित नेहरू और बाद में इंदिरा गांधी भी लेकिन थिएटर अर्बन मिडिल क्लास से बाहर नहीं निकल पाया और आज भी जो 70% आबादी है हिंदुस्तान की, उसे नहीं मालूम कि तुगलक क्या है, अंधा युग क्या है, रक्त कल्याण क्या है।
No, but that is their fault. That is their fault because these plays have been traveling. They've been traveling all over. They've been traveling all over. And we are invited all over the country. As a matter of fact, we are invited even abroad to do Indian plays now. So that restriction which the British at one time had because of the lack of knowledge of the Indian languages, of Indian languages. But now that has been removed. They don't bother about that.
अगर इंडियन थिएटर की हिस्ट्री को देखें तो आपको एक दौर दिखता है संस्कृत क्लासिकल नाटकों का जिसमें कालिदास, भास वगैरह के नाटक हैं, एक पूरा दौर है।
जी हाँ, बिल्कुल।
दूसरा दौर अगर आप याद कर सकते हैं तो वाजिद अली शाह और भारतेंदु का ज़माना है।
बेशक।
और एक तीसरा दौर जिसमें इप्टा और एनएसडी के साथ इब्राहिम अलकाजी का नाम आता है। अगर तो अब इन 3 अलग अलग पीरियड्स के बाद ये कोई नया दौर ऐसा आएगा जिसे किसी ट्रेंड के साथ याद किया जाएगा?
यकीनन।
वो क्या होगा? आपको दिखता है कि थिएटर में क्या हो रहा है ऐसा नया जिसे कोई
we can pick up the
काम?
students. We can pick up the students who have already done great work in theatre and say this person can do it, that person can do it, that person can do it. Yes, certainly. They have learnt a great deal. It's fine, marvelous.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया
शुक्रिया
इब्राहिम अलकाजी साहब।